Thank you for having me. Thank you for that long bio, that long introduction. I'm so sorry. It's a lot, but I just wanted those to know who I was. Um, I'm thankful to be here. Miss Gertrude reached out. I had a hard time connecting to the internet, and I was like, it must be something that I need to say because I am facing opposition. But opposition is nothing but opportunity. So I took the whiff at the opportunity and say, I'm getting on here. I don't care if I'm gonna have to get on from my cell phone. But I did get on from my laptop. So if I go in and out from time to time, I apologize. The internet just been acting crazy today. But I'm thankful to be here. And I'm kind of going to give a testimony, but it's also going to include the steps that I took to make a power shift after my transformation. Um, I can say I don't look like anything that I've been through. I've been through a lot, but God is good. And I realized that overall, through everything with my testimony, I realized that I needed to do things his way. That's kind of the gist of everything. Once he brought me to who I am in him now. And that started with me gaining a relationship with Christ because I had one before, but I drifted. Um, and I was raised in the church in a Christian family, and I had those values close to my heart. But of course, I made those decisions to drift. And it all started with me engaging in a marriage that I had no business being in. I married into a relationship. I was 18. He was about 7 years older than me. And the marriage turned abusive. Abuse, a very, very abusive relationship. And I was stuck in that marriage for about 7 years. In that marriage, trying to get out of that, I decided I took every escape that I could, whether it was going away to a 4-year college, whatever I had it to do. And I went away to college. Unfortunately, that was kind of my breaking point. I was in school. He was paying for my school. And I was like, I cannot take this anymore. I am worth more than this. And at the time, I had a little girl, my daughter, who's now 16 years old, but she was about 2. And I was like, I can't stay in this relationship anymore for just for financial needs. I'm better than that. My worth is so much better than that. So I made the choice to leave. And of course, that cost me my education. So I had to drop out of college. And I had to move back home, and I was going through a divorce, and I fell into a heavy state of depression. I fell into alcoholism. I did anything that I could to numb my pain. So hearing the other stories about it's about pain, I attempted suicide, and I was a survivor of that. Of course, my addiction led me to having almost fatal car accidents where I was ejected through the windshield of my car, driving intoxicated. It was just like my life began to just trickle down, going through a divorce. Now my daughter is in the guardianship of my mother, not legally, but she was watching her while I was going through my little phase that I was going through. And it wasn't until I made my way back to a relationship with Christ when my life began to change and my perspective began to change about who I was, that I was none of those lies that the enemy was telling me. I wasn't a nobody. I was somebody. I wasn't going to be bound all my life, that I was free from the things that was holding me hostage. And so this is, once I made it free and got this new life, I then formed my enterprise, Francis Bailey Enterprises, where I help other women overcome obstacles and to walk in deliverance. I teach them the obstacles. That's why I am a life recovery coach, because I had to go back and recover some things that I lost. And it's some women out there who are just like I was. So I teach them the blueprint, the strategies that I took. Of course, not nothing I learned that I took to make it to where I am now. Not nothing I learned in the book, but this was actually what the steps that I walked to get out of what I was in. Because we can have our part and we can have a relationship with Christ, but if we don't do our part, we may not make it out of what we're in. So we still have a part to do. And here I am transformed. I have a nonprofit organization where I hold support groups in depression and anxiety and domestic violence. I hold support groups in addiction where we meet virtually, and I help women who were stuck in that area just like I was. So everything that I do in my nonprofit and in my business is very intentional towards helping others walk out of the same things that I walked out of. But for anybody that's listening, I would like to encourage any woman that's in business, or any woman who haven't even made it to business, but they then just walked out of some things that were once holding them hostage, in order to make that power shift and stay walking in that deliverance, in that that path of reaching others and transforming others. You have to be clear on your why too. You need to know exactly who you're trying to impact. You need to know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, because if you don't have a clear strategy on why, it's easy to get distracted. And now you feel like you're not even walking in your purpose anymore, because you never even knew why you were doing what you were doing. Another thing I found out was my motive. I had to always check my motive. You have a tendency that when you get hurt and you still have wounds that haven't healed, because healing takes time, you have a tendency sometimes to fight or to move or to what we say walk in purpose, but we're really walking in our open wound. So is this really, check your motive? Is your motive really what, how it's supposed to be? Is your heart hard? Because they always say, it's hard to teach and to heal someone and try to help someone else heal when you're not healed. I don't want to minister to somebody else from a broken place. So I want to make sure that you want to make sure that your motive is completely clear. Keep your heart right. Make sure you really don't let that forgiveness through and all of that. No distractions. That's the biggest thing. On this, just in everyday life, whether you're in business, whether you're a mother, a wife, a husband, just an individual, we always have to pay attention and make sure we're not distracted, to stay focused on this course that God has called us to do. And that's one thing I have to do. I have to always make sure that I remain focused, because some things come that try to pull me back to where I done came from. Some things try to come back and tell me I'm not set free from other things. Or like somebody was saying earlier, some women don't want to come on here and speak yet because they don't even think that they haven't made it there yet. But sometimes sometimes the deliverance happen while you're walking, while you're going, while you're moving. You can actually walk into that. So I just wanted to encourage others that, there is hope. If it's a woman looking who's bound in alcoholism, that's bound in suicidal thoughts, that's bound in depression, that there is another side. There is a side on what they're going through, and they can make it through. But my first step was submitting myself, my will to Christ. And then I had to do my part in the natural to get to where I was supposed to be, to really have a power shift in my transformation. So it was short and sweet, but that's all I had to say. Thank you for having me.